Gavin Newsom, in every single interview I've seen him do, has passed the buck, even though he is governor of this state.
Yeah.
He is pathetic. He's a snake. He's like the slimiest Democratic politician, certainly on a local level. But what we have seen is mismanagement of epic proportions.
Than I think I've ever in my entire life. So synthetic, and honestly, that's very dangerous, like incredibly dangerous. Like he's the type of person that could just like stare at you like, oh yeah, I voted for Trump, and just like it's a lie detector test. that is very, very dangerous. You know, stone cold, just like no inhibitions whatsoever when it comes to deceit or lying or misleading.
When Ana Kasparian and Charlie Kirk unintentionally collaborate on a political roast, who do you think ends up on the hot seat? King Nwomu Gavin Newsom. Yes, Jel, you can tell the tea is boiling when those two start spilling the same beverage. The California curtain is being pulled back, revealing everything from Botox to secret transactions like a chaotic reality show. Did Nwomu really think he could avoid the internet's extremes? Hold on tight. There are a lot of surprising plot twists in this crazy and bizarre ride.
The existence of climate change should not be utilized as a talking point in order to pass the buck, in order to deflect blame, in order to refuse to take any personal responsibility for how poorly this state has been governed for 7 years now. I am so disgusted with these people.
But Gavin wants to be president. So this is him trying to recover from, the damage that he got after the podcast I had with him. Remember, what are you doing about transports? He did nothing and all that, and he got a huge left flank. This is very instructive. How do you get yourself back to the Democrat primary circle? How do you win back support? You let your city burn. Nothing gets you back into the good wishes of the Democrats.
If you're enjoying this, please hit the subscribe button, it helps more than you know. Charlie Kirk and Ana Kasparian, it's like a butcher and a vegan sharing a steak. Strange, a little unsettling, and completely captivating. When these two ideological opposites find common ground, the universe doesn't just raise an eyebrow, it shifts. Gavin Newsom is California's darling. Kendall-turned-governor is now the unfortunate soul caught in the crossfire of this disastrous duo. What he just triggered is the political equivalent of a lunar eclipse.
Americans are encouraged to shelter in place, encouraged to practice social distancing, no eating indoors at restaurants. He was seen at the French Laundry meeting up with his lobbyist buddies. That is unacceptable. I have not seen competent leadership from Gavin Newsom, and I will state on this show, every single member of my family signed our names, provided our signatures to recall him.
What is it about Newsom that makes people from Sacramento to Washington roll their eyes so hard you can practically hear it? Simple, he's playing the oldest political trick in the book: make all the promises sound polished, look perfect, and show off a PowerPoint presentation. It's like ordering tofu shaped like filet mignon. That's Gavin Newsom in a nutshell. Gavin, if you're paying attention...
If you're listening to this, you're a failure. Mayors are actually some of the most powerful people in the country. The police are responsive to the mayor. The building codes are responsive to the mayor. The homeless, mayors are very, very powerful. So he was mayor of San Francisco. Would you let your son walk the streets of San Francisco unaccompanied at 1 a.m.? No, you wouldn't. I'm sorry. Your son can't walk the streets of the city that you were in charge. You're a disgrace. Gavin Newsom, you just want political power. You have no guiding beliefs at all. Just leave the Democrat Party. That's my advice to him. If you really want to be in elected office that bad, just leave the Democrat Party. Just go run as a moderate Republican and just have some sort of conversion.
In the Democratic fantasy draft, he looked like the ideal pick. Shiny hair, more makeup than a Sephora shelf, charisma at full volume, and a voice so polished it could have been AI generated. The lights dim as he enters the stage. Cameras tilt toward him. Dogs stop barking. He and Ron DeSantis traded political jabs, a prelude to the 2028 presidential steel cage match.
First of all, I'd get real aggressive about building housing immediately, right? Putting potties under freeway bridges for homeless people is not a solution to this problem. I would also find ways to that businesses have the, economic relief necessary to remain stable throughout this process. So if you're going to force shutdown, what are you going to do to ensure that when these shutdowns are lifted, that these businesses don't go underwater, shut down, don't go bankrupt. I mean, it's just a lack of planning, a lack of thoughtfulness, a lack of humor.
Progressives cheered, Twitter exploded, and Gavin smiled like he already had the presidency in hand. But dig beneath the Netflix-worthy glow of leadership in the hair gel era, and reality hits hard. Inflation bites, farmers' markets are being replaced by tent cities, and families are crammed into spaces the size of broom closets.
My view of him is actually the same, which is this is a guy that wants to be president more than any other human being, I think, currently alive. And it looks as if he's trying to be on the popular edge or the popular side of the issues right now. The one that's making the headlines, obviously, is biological men in sports. And he said he totally agrees with me, and that's a direct quote.
Were you surprised by that?
I was a little taken aback. I expected a little bit more of a politician answer. We'll see if he actually follows that rhetoric with action, like an executive order or trying to champion the state bill that will prohibit biological men in women's sport. I think he's been a total failure.
In my opinion, he wants to be president more than any other living person. That's genuinely how I see him. And now it seems like he's trying to position himself as the solution to the very problems he helped create. The talking points are clearly coming from a biological male who plays sports. He directly quoted me saying he absolutely agrees. Was that surprising? A bit. It was a more politician-like answer than I expected. We'll see if he follows through either by executive order or supporting state laws banning biological males from women's sports. In my view, he's been an utter failure as governor. The cost of living, suffocating budgets, rising crime, and an exodus of businesses have turned California's progressive paradise into a flashing crisis alert. Gavin's response, look at Florida, blaming DeSantis is the perfect distraction while California burns. Cuomo strutted out like barely surviving a recall was a badge of merit.
In the governor, I know the governor of the state. He's got some, I know Gavin Newsom, he's got some talent, I think, and charming for sure. But like, what's going on? Is he aware of that? I've asked him, and
You really find him charming?
Well, in a kind of reptilian way. I mean, charming in the sense that his whole life is devoted to winning people over.
Yes, yeah.
Kind of like Bill Clinton was, and I said at it. But I also think, someone said to me the other day, you could pass a lie detector test on anything. Like there's a coldness inside that
he's
allows.
He's a sociopath. I think he's a snake oil salesman. I think he's a liar, and I think that he destroyed the state of California.
His magic lies in the packaging, glossy media, stylized imagery, and rapid recoveries. But behind the moody lighting and glamour shots, there's just more gloss. The facts about California speak for themselves. Outrageous taxes, shrinking wages, recycled promises, and a working class wondering how liberal ideals turned their state into a failing theme park.
Article though, his numbers are down dramatically as far as favorability, trust, authenticity since he started this podcast. It's not going very well for him of how people. For that, I will say that I think we have done a job of exposing him for being the synthetic fraud he actually is. I will give him credit for having the discussion. They didn't edit any of it. That deserves credit because they very well could have edited the trans thing out. But I do understand completely coming from Megan. However, I would just view it a little bit differently. I don't think that Gavin Newsom is getting his spring training to become a presidential candidate. I think he's actually being exposed as someone who will not be able to get to it.
He remains the next great hope of the Democratic Party. A better-smiled Kennedy, Biden's understudy, who looks like he moisturizes with crushed diamonds and speaks in rehearsed poetry. But the shine is fading, disdain is becoming bipartisan. Even Ana Kasparian finds Gavin Newsom's downfall embarrassing. It's the same feeling you get watching a cousin bomb karaoke at a wedding.
Overwhelmingly supported a ballot measure to support building more reservoirs in the state in order to bulk up our water structure because we live in a drought-prone state. That passed in 2014. Funding was attached. You want to know how many reservoirs have been built since 2014? Zero. This state is utter joke because of the people who are governing it. Gavin Newsom right now is at the top of
Billions were poured into California to fix homelessness, yet tents still line overpasses, public trust plummets, and luxury condo prices keep rising. The middle class sips their iced coffee quietly wondering, where the money went and why the solutions seem to come from people who've never paid rent. Ana calls this flavor of progressivism cosmetic.
Very calculated bet that no one's going to remember that he was a failed governor, that no one's going to remember that he literally has no accomplishments, and that he's going to try to run to the middle and to be able to take his Democrats for granted. The Democrat base, as exhibited, as how they're acting in the streets and how they're acting in Congress, is not moderating on these issues. In fact, I think this podcast might be ending Gavin Newsom's presidential ambitions, not preparing him for his. This is just speculation and conjecture. And then I will also speak just for myself personally why we decided to do it. Being the first, we consider that to be a pretty cool opportunity to be able to sit down and disagree and even debate at times with one of the world's, the largest state, the fifth largest economy in the.
It checks all the boxes on equity, diversity, and climate, but never delivers real work. Gavin is the ideal opponent, a liberal figurehead tailor-made for every conservative talking point about failed progressive governance. And suddenly, as both far-left and far-right critics begin noticing the same flaws, you have to ask, is this more than spin? Maybe the emperor's wardrobe values Armani suits over usefulness, big promises, high-end PR stitched with hair gel, and accountability from the bargain bin.
You're gonna get broken into, okay? You're gonna get robbed.
Nope.
Taxpayer money, funneling it to nonprofits so they can literally buy crack pipes and hand them out at Skid Row.
And
There's videos of that. Paying incredibly high taxes. What? So yeah, I'm sick of it. And just experiencing what I've seen on the ground in California has made me question a lot about wing ideology.
No.
Look, I would take.
That's horrible that we have to do that.
I could never vote for him.
The PR shine starts to wear off when even your harshest critics stop debating your ideas and start questioning you as a person. The California dream has become a bipartisan nightmare, and Gavin? He's already posing for the next campaign ad, thinking beyond 20 to 8.
Ever. Maybe, is this the tipping point? Did you get the feeling he really wants to change?
I don't know. He wants to be president, Sean, more than anything else on the planet. I think you can agree he has more political ambition than almost anybody in the Democrat Party. And I think he understands that the entire country is moving center-right and is accelerating at a rapid pace. In fact, we are course correcting after 4 failed years Joe Biden and all of the woke stuff and the anti-common sense movement. Gavin Newsom had me on his podcast, and I was all of a sudden where he decided to diverge away from the orthodox opinion in the Democrat Party, which is as simple as saying it's not fair that a biological man can compete in female.
You're absolutely right, okay, in your analysis. Let me just say, you know that I like you when I'm willing to sit through a podcast episode featuring Gavin Newsom just to prepare for this. Okay, because I can't stand him. I can't stand his raspy voice. Not for any superficial reason other than the fact I live in California. I've had the displeasure of experiencing what his leadership actually looks like. He's a snake oil salesman.
Gavin needs to look down. Banana peels are coming from both sides. Charlie's smugness and Ana's fury aren't just noise. They're warning signs. When total opposites smell the same smoke, there's a fire. TV-polished politicians might win airtime, but their cracks eventually show. If Newsom wants a real shot at the Oval Office, he'll need more than MSNBC makeup rooms and his bathroom mirror. Because even the most picture-perfect brand eventually has to answer one question.